many people watch Shark Tank? Anybody been on Shark Tank in here? There's usually one, no? It's really interesting. One thing I wanted to make sure that you knew is that the way this is going to work is Daymond's going to come up and do a keynote, but we're also going to have an opportunity because he's going to sit down with Jonathan Ronzio and then also take some QA from you guys. We're going to have some mic runners out there for you brave souls. But listen, this is your opportunity to talk to somebody who has literally seen thousands and thousands of businesses and ideas and has incredible insights. So make sure you're thinking about that. And also, it's just really, really hard to introduce a legend. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you can go through the accolades. It's like, oh, author, activist, speaker, TV personality, badass motherfucker. I don't know what we're supposed to say right now, but I do know that we're graced and excited, and I've been around Daymond for a really long time, and I know he's going to give you a lot of value and a lot of really incredible things you can do in your business right now. So without further ado, can we get on our feet for this one? Can we get hyped? Can we get excited? Can we dance around? Can you guys help me welcome to Playbook, the People's Shark, Daymond John.
Knowledge and wisdom bring understanding. For the culture, bringing freedom to the planet. The power to refine how we planned it. Bring equality to God's economy. Build the truth, destroying the booth. What I was born to do, decipher for you. Hey Allah, what
thank
you
thank you. All right. Jonathan, thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody. How you doing today?
Playbook, how pumped are you for Daymond right now?
Well, I know you had some great speakers. Did Candy speak yet?
Candy is coming later. We've
Ryan?
Ezra, Goldie, Ryan, Chris. Yeah, what a morning so far.
That motivate me. I was talking to Jonathan backstage, and I was saying to myself, what am I going to share with you today? We're going to open it up for Q&A in a little while, and I wanted to give some opening comments and remarks. And I could have done something kind of preset, and I speak a lot, and I can cut up some of my engagements. But I think you ladies and gentlemen, can all see that online, right? Some of you may know it, some of you may have not. And I wanted to try to come up with some things that are really authentic to the room today, because the room today are people who really are great at understanding processes and the need for processes. The people in this room are on that capitulation point where you start capitulating a company 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, but how do you break through and take it to 100, take it to 200, take it to $1 billion? The people in this room are the ones who may understand, almost like I say, scientists, right? But scientists are the worst marketers and branders in the world. The worst, right? But you can't know it all in business. Every single one of you started off in a business because there was a problem that existed. You thought somebody else was going to solve the problem. You said, fuck it, I'm going to solve the problem. Nobody's solving that problem, right? Or you thought somebody you need to bring joy to somebody. And there's only two reasons why people are successful in business. They either solve a problem or bring somebody joy. And if you bring somebody joy, you solve the problem. If you solve a problem, you brought somebody joy. So that's the reason why we as entrepreneurs take on this journey of not wanting to work 40 hours so we can work 80. That's what we do. That's exactly what we do. And as entrepreneurs, what is the dilemma of an entrepreneur? Because if anybody ever told me what I would have had to do to get to this point in my life, I'd have said, pass me the fucking McDonald's hat. Because that's where I'm going to go. That's where I'm going to be working for the rest of my goddamn life. An entrepreneur, every single person in this room, you can't tell anybody your problem, but you got to listen to everybody else's problems because you're supposed to walk on water. God forbid any of the people that come into your company see you crying in the corner saying, if we don't make payroll this month, we're all fucked. Well, the good people leave, don't they? And the bad people, they're the only ones who don't quit. Right? Isn't that the truth? You got financial stress at the house. You got to show up with a smile. You got to over-provide for your customer. Everybody else got paid but you. UPS got paid. The people who are renting you the building or the mortgage, your employees got paid. Every night when you wake up in the middle of the night, you go, how am I going to keep this thing running to employ these great people that are dedicating their lives to my company? Shit, I got a lot of responsibility. And after 7, 8 years, 9, 10 years, sometimes you got to close the thing down. You don't know when to take money off the table because you have this other challenge that how do you go and address new customers without leaving the current customers behind? Because you know that if you don't address them, they're going to be gone, but those are the first people to believe in you. Isn't that what business is about? That's what it is. The first point I want to bring up, though, is I want to talk about being very intentional about your process. That's not anything new to anybody in this room. But I'm a very simple guy. I don't have a great formal education. The only thing I did in school notable is I liked the 7th grade so much I took it twice. I'm a very simple guy. I get down to the simple aspects of it. I'm dyslexic, and I think that's the power of dyslexics. How many people in this room are dyslexic? All right, cool. 5. 20% of the world is dyslexic. 42% of entrepreneurs are dyslexic. 8 of the 12 sharks are dyslexic. 7 presidents were dyslexic, and Einstein was dyslexic. All right, who else wants to admit you're dyslexic in this room?
A few more hands go up now.
Exactly. Well, we're simple people. So let's talk about habits. Habits could be good or habits could be bad, but you have to be intentional. I love playing the game Monopoly. Monopoly is the world's most famous board game, but if you ever played Monopoly and there's money under free parking, there's this, there's that, that's not the game. Those habits were passed down by generations. That's not the game. Nana told you there was money under free parking. There's no money under free parking. But you took on that habit. I was talking to Ted and Jonathan backstage, and I was fortunate enough of doing a keynote with two of my the greatest heroes to me is Tony Robbins and Jay Abraham, and I was on the stage, and Jay told the story about a pot roast, or roast, excuse me, not a pot roast. And he said his mother was making a roast, and she was teaching her daughter how to make the roast. She said, well, you know, you got to cut the edges off the roast before you put it in the oven. You know, you can't record this love. You don't want to give this to the people that didn't earn being here. And it's not a problem. But they don't want to record it. And so the little girl said, Mom, why do we cut the edges off the roast? She said, well, it's always been done that way. That's what you do. And don't give it up if you heard the roast story. It's Thanksgiving. She said, well, ask Grandma why we do that. Went to Grandma. Grandma sitting there and said, we always do that. Who taught you? Great-grandma. Great-grandma's right there too. Great-grandma, why do we cut the edges off the roast? Why? Well, we came over here from Poland. We were super poor. The oven was only this big. We couldn't fit the damn roast in the oven, so we cut the edges off. When people say it's always been done that way, or you operate a company or an organization like it's always been done that way, those are a couple of words that are the worst words possible in the English language or any language to me. It's always about constantly tweaking like Steve Jobs did. And every single time that you grow your company, as you're growing your company, that's why we're talking about these processes with Trainual, because you have to be very, very intentional about the process. You already know that. I know that you know that, but I'm sharing with you that you never arrive. And let me give you an example. I have Ted. He's a very brilliant guy. He runs my company. I don't know if you've seen him. I mean, this guy is absolutely fucking brilliant. He is my quarterback. He is my star player. I, of course, like any one of you, I have a lot of ideas. I can't keep bringing them to Ted because then I take his eye off the ball. So I do these ideas outside. I myself suffer from the fact that I don't use the processes when I'm outside. And then Ted has to come in and clean all this shit up. But that's what's going to happen with you in your businesses. You're all going to find successes and you're going to forget about a lot of the processes that got you here. So I want you to understand the importance of you have to be very intentional. You know, there's intention of, hey, you can make a mistake where, you know, I got right back to that woman yesterday and I solved that problem and now she's a fan. You have to put that in your system. Be very intentional, but don't make that just an average thing that you've done. So as you learn these processes here and you keep doing that, I'm going to tell you the importance of being intentional. I go back, the biggest mistakes I've ever made is when FUBU was doing $350, $400 million. I was like, oh shit, Well, I've gotten to this point yet. I didn't have a mentor in that part of the business. I was like, well, now I'm supposed to just hire all these great salespeople and everybody else to do it. I didn't want to roll up my sleeves anymore, not because I was lazy, but I was like, but that's what I'm supposed to be. I'm a baller now. But when you hire a salesperson, you know who they're selling? You. They're telling you, they used to tell me, oh, well, if you made that in purple, well, the buyer's going to buy it, next season. They just secured their job for another 6 months. I started to learn that when I went back to the basics of what got me here, I started to save money. Because a lot of times as you grow, you're going to think spending money is going to get you where you need to be. It's not. Money will highlight your weaknesses. If you have a weak conversion on your campaign, well, buying more of that campaign is not going to increase your conversion. If you watch too much Shark Tank and you feel that you need to be at a 50% margin, so you cut corners and get something in because you want to hit a 50% margin and you want to buy more inventory, 100,000 units instead of 1,000 units because you saved margin on it, but the units aren't good, buying more of it, now you got more shit coming back to your warehouse. Money doesn't solve anything. It highlights your weaknesses often. So what I have to tell you is, think about it. I always share with people, athletes and lotto winners are 65% of them bankrupt 3 years after leaving the league or winning the lotto. That means the tool of money, they didn't know how to use the tool of money. And Forbes' top wealthiest 1,000 people, 65% of them are self-made men and women, like the people in this room. I got nothing against the great people that have helped establish the massive industries in this country, such as the Fords, the Carnegies, and the Mellons, and the Rockefellers, and things of that nature. And I know many of their children, their foundations have done extremely amazing things for this country. Our national parks and various other things. But when you think about their children, why don't they own the Teslas and the Instagrams and the Facebooks of the world? Because the first generation makes it, the second enjoys it, and third destroys it. If they're not taught about how to use money, that means there's room for you. Every single one of you. We're in the greatest country on the planet, and that's why the money turns, because people, hardworking people who understand processes and know how to solve a problem and change the world start to come up, and those people start to fall to the wayside. So it's all about processes. It's all about, and understanding how to become part of that process. And don't use money. It's exactly what got you here. It's this. And the next thing I want to talk about is branding. It takes the same exact energy to think big than it does small. And that's why scientists are never really good at what they do in regards to branding. They may change the world. They may do many other things. But it's the ability to communicate this in a very simple way to a customer on where they see the value for themselves. You ever talk to a scientist and they tell you all these kind of things going on, you just get gloss over your eyes and you spin it, whatever the case is. To understand how to brand is understand where is your unique selling proposition to the customer that you have. What is keeping them up at night? Is it because they want to be part of a community that is very socially conscious? Or they want to be able to walk up to some place and you see who they are and you know that they are this type of person by the way they look? I always say, can every single one of you put yourself personally in 2 to 5 words and your company in 2 to 5 words? Can you do that? Can you do your Apple Think Different, Nike Just Do It, FUBU for Us, Buy Us, White Castle, What You Crave, TNT, We Know Drama, TBS, Very Funny? Because if you don't know what your own 2 to 5 words are when you walk into the room, then you leave it up to us to interpret. They say a jury exonerates or convicts somebody in the first 30 seconds of seeing them. After that, all they want to do is listen to what they already think about you. Are you branding your company in those senses? There are 2 ways to brand a company. There's internally, we're branding ourselves, and there's externally. Externally is that kind of jacket you have. When I grew up, with the world of Def Jam, and everybody wanted a Def Jam jacket, but or a collegiate jacket. You walk in the room and say, "We're part of this. You're not part of this. Check us out." Then there's the internally one when you bring people in. You say, "You want to think different? Be part of our community." There's 2 different ways to do it. Remember, when people see and touch your brand, there's only going to be 2 reasons they touch your brand. They're either going to first be aware of and then check somebody else to see if that's a good community they want to be in, or you're going to reinforce that they're in the community that they should be in. When you think of somebody like Ralph Lauren, I think of somebody that looks exactly like me, super sexy, all white on a horse. Branding can be anything too. Don't think it's luxury. I'm a little bit of a tree hugger and a prepper. And you may say, well, those type of people don't have any brands. No, I'm in my Range Rover drinking out of my Yeti goddamn cooler with an Eddie Bauer tent. But you can brand yourself in many ways. You know, I always say that a white t-shirt can be branded in 4 or 5 different ways. You know, that white t-shirt that you find at Louis Vuitton, by the way, it's made by virgin silkworms out of France. You will never see that t-shirt again. It's $200. When you go into Louis Vuitton, it's one right there on the rack. There's $7,500 in the back, but you pay that $200 for that. Well, maybe you go into Macy's and you see one at $70, but it's not Louis Vuitton, it's Nautica, it's Ralph Lauren, it's somebody else like that, and you go, oh, pretty cool, I'm part of that community, you know, I'm $75. But then you're a slob, or your husband's a slob, and you buy this for your husband at Walmart because it's 3 for $9.99, and my husband's a slob. There's going to be pancake batter on it every single morning, so he's going to take these shirts, and after he wears it and ruins it, he's just going to give it away to those in need, and we can buy, how many of those shirts can I buy for $200? Every one of those are a brand. I grew up extremely poor. My mother did not believe that the Jolly Green Giant's peas were any better than regular peas. She didn't believe that a Chiquita banana was better than a regular banana, but those are 2 different brands. Some parents said, I don't care, because when we treat ourselves, we're going to treat ourselves to the Jolly Green Giant. It's all about understanding the perception of how somebody touches your brand. Everybody may want to go out and deal with a Kim Kardashian of the world. When I tell you about going out and doing brands, find brands and people and influencers, and we talk about influencers represent your brand. You know who's the best influencer? A person who doesn't have a big following. I started out I had 50 shirts that I had enough money for. And I bought all 5Xs and 6Xs. I don't want to break it to you, in my community where I grew up, they make them pretty big. And why did I give these shirts, and why did I make 5X and 6Xs? Because those guys in the community that wore 5X and 6Xs, if I would have given it to the skinny hip-hop kid that looked really cute with the tight jeans and a funny mustache, they're going to wear it one time and give it away. They don't want to be seen in it twice. But those big guys, they had very limited choices. They had Rochester Big and Tall or Make It Custom. Rochester Big and Tall had a big white shirt or a big black shirt, and custom was extremely expensive. I gave them my FUBU shirts. Guess where those big guys were? Out in front of the red rope in the club. They were the bodyguards of those people. They were the people that nobody fucked with in the community. And they wore those shirts 5 times a month, 8 times a month. And when LL and all those guys came over to them and said, hey, why don't you give me a shirt? They were like, get a shirt from Daymond. They were like, no, little man ain't got no money. And if you only wear it one time, he ain't gonna give me shit anymore. But if I get you a shirt, you better wear that shirt. And they were the most powerful influencer I ever could deal with. You know who was another powerful influencer? A mom. Mothers are ultimate entrepreneurs. Ultimate. It's easy doing what we do. But if you're, by the way, first of all, they give us life. Pretty hard to do. But if a mother's son or daughter has to go to the ER for an ear infection, 3 times a month, a mother doesn't give them up for adoption. Kevin O'Leary would. There's no book that you can ever have. Nothing against the dads. Dads, we don't produce life. But there's no book that'll ever give a mother a step-by-step what to do. Isn't that the same as business? So I talk about finding influencers, and I'm going to leave it off this last point of influencers, because we'll get into scalability and we'll get into all the questions you ask. Jonathan will bring it up. But when you find an influencer, I find that, listen, all right, argument's sake, let's use Kim Kardashian. You got a new lipstick. You're going to pay Kim Kardashian to wear it. Millions and millions of dollars, right? You're a big brand. Out of 100, let's break down her 100% of her followers. Well, 25% of them are absolutely, they love. You're paying for 100% though. 25% absolutely are obsessed with Kim Kardashian. Those are the women. Another 25% of women can't stand her. And they will buy lipstick, that same shade, from anybody else but her. So you just energized your competitor. And the other 50% are guys with lollipops in their mouth and trench coats on, and they ain't buying no lipstick. But you find 1,000 people with 1,000 followers that may not have that public face. 95% of the people that are following them for a real reason, because they like them, they trust them, they find value in them, and they know that they are amazing people. One of the quickest rising consumer or influencers are actually grandfluencers, because you know they give no shits about what they say. And so try to find authentic influencers and try to understand where your value proposition is. Sometimes it's not the product. The number one product in Shark Tank history is Bombas socks. They're going to touch on $1.7 billion this year. It's socks. It's socks. But they found an angle that they said people want to give these days. They want to know not only what are you doing for me, but what are you doing for somebody else? And every time they sell a pair of socks, they give a pair away to the homeless community. So when I'm sitting at dinner with my daughter, she's saying, Daddy, when did the last time you gave? Well, I'm going to give the end of the year. I'm going to give all this money. Well, Daddy, I gave 20 times this year. How did you give 20 times? Every time I bought this, I helped clean up the ocean. Every time I bought this, I helped stop human trafficking. Every time I bought this, somebody in need got a pair of socks. And Daddy, I'm going to give 10 pairs of socks to 10 people because they're all going to give. That's what I'm going to do for Christmas. So understand where your true value is. You know what the second biggest company is in Shark Tank history? Anybody want to take a guess? Huh? Who? Yeah. That stupid ass looking little sponge. Lori has sold $1.1 billion worth of that stupid ass sponge. It's a sponge. And I lost on that bid, and every time I go into the store, they got the scrub mommy, the scrub baby. You seen this shit? It's a sponge. And that's why I hate her. Anybody else in here got the scrub daddy? I hate you too. Now, it's about marketing and branding and understanding simple ways to get to you. I do not care how my iPhone is built. I just want to know, can I get to my apps and can I block my ex-wife? That's it. Steve Jobs said, I'm not going to tell you how many gigabytes and da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take something that's currently in the market. It's called the MP3 player. I know you're carrying around all your CDs and tapes. I'm going to find a database that you can put all of that shit on one item. I'm going to take the Black Eyed Peas and launch this thing. And after that, I'm going to sell you a computer that's now you're going to put your shit in. And then I'm going to sell you an iPad. Then I'm going to sell you this. And now they're worth, I don't know how many trillions these days, Jonathan. And he's listening to us right now, even though he's dead. All right, so come on, Jonathan, let's open it up to everybody else. And I hope that I really try to give you a little bit of insight to get those juices running about, first of all, the first one you don't need to worry about. It's just basically go back to the fundamentals all the time. Keep tweaking it, just like Steve Jobs. Always remember that this process that you are doing and creating, of course, with Trainual and various other things, it never changes. Keep the process going. And that's the best thing that they do is, of course, give you obviously these tools that you can actually see what people are doing. If somebody gets ran over by a bus or somebody quits, they don't hold you hostage to your system. And always be very intentional about the way that you decide to execute these things. And of course, number two is branding. Understand the simple things that you do. The simple reason that you solve a problem every single day. Don't overthink it. Don't try to tell them all the other things that you're doing in life that creates this. Because again, I always say there's nothing new in this world. You may make it lighter, faster, stronger, find a new customer, a new way to deliver it, but it's not new. Be very simple about it, right? The Voice, it's not new. It's just American Idol. All they did was turn the chairs. And American Idol is Showtime at the Apollo without the Sandman, and Showtime at the Apollo is the Gong Show without the gong. Facebook's a nasty chain letter, and the Snuggie's just a blanket with 2 holes in it. So there's nothing new. And of course, last but now Lee says find those influencers that mean something, that really, truly hit a core. All right, Jonathan, why don't we open it up to some questions? Do you have any at the moment?
So who here has Bomba socks? That's
what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Daymond was king of Shark Tank right there.
That's right. That's right. That's my brand. That's right.
So where I want to open this up, we're going to get into crowd questions in just a couple minutes. I'm going to be running around. Please think about it. What questions do you have for Daymond? But last season, you invited Chris and I out to hang out at Shark Tank.
Yep.
You going to take a seat?
Yeah, come on.
Let's do it. You invited Chris and I out to kind of watch behind the scenes. One of the things that surprised me in actually seeing the production of this show is what you see on air is 8% of the actual interview with every business, right? Every single one of those businesses that gets up there that pitches, it's 45 minutes, it's 50 minutes, right? And we see 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's average of an hour, but yes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. There's 16 cameras shooting it for accuracy, so there's 16 hours of footage for you to see 8 minutes. And we don't know we don't get a piece of paper. I don't know why everybody keeps thinking that. So how much you know? We don't know anything. And then people say, well, is it my money?
Is it your real, is it your money? Do you know anything?
And that's the problem. A lot of time people go, why are you so mean to people? The guys up there, you're giving them you're giving them a 10-second countdown to make a decision that's going to change his life. I've been offering him $100,000 for fucking 45 minutes, and he's kissing Cuban's pasty white ass and not giving me an answer. Don't you think you should give me an answer? I don't feel emotional about that.
No, not at all, not at all. He's gone now, by the way, right? But so that was surprising to me, is just how deep you all go into these businesses to determine, are they scalable?
Yeah.
Is this something that I want to invest in? And it's not just what we see that finally comes to air. Exactly, what we see on the actual show is the watered down, it's the investing for dummies version of what kind of goes out into the general airwaves, versus you really dig into P&Ls and scalability and their systems and their infrastructure and their everything. And so I would love for you to kind of peel back the curtain on that for all of these business owners and business leaders in the room. What does that look like? The part of Shark Tank that nobody sees, the real business side of it.
Yeah, so the reason why you see a lot of that, remember, it's still business theater. And as the top show marketed to adults that is watched by kids 5 to 15, parents and kids together and taught in schools, they wanted to be appealing to everybody. And it's business theater, it's a story. When we're going through that, remember, we are not up there judging if it's a good business in general. We're judging if it's a good business for us. Because just like every time that you are, and Ryan told me this, and it was a really great thing that he said one day when we were speaking. He said every time you solve a problem, you create another problem in the business. And as long as you think about that, it'll serve in your life personally. Every time you solve a problem, you create another problem. Does anybody disagree with that? Because if you don't have great customer service, you have great customer service. Well, now all of a sudden, when you hire people for great customer service, well, now you got a lot of product coming back. Now you got a lot of product coming back. Where are you going to warehouse it? Now you got to get another warehouse. Well, now you got to hold another warehouse. You don't want to build on that real estate in regards to paying for that all the time. You got to find a way to off it, right? It's always going to be the same, right? And so when we are listening to these things, we're trying to understand the business first of all. Is it scalable? What is your vision on scalability? There's no small business. Every business can be huge. I don't care if you're a sugary drink, named Coca-Cola with bubbles in it. You can be huge. So we first of all listening to that scalability. More importantly though, we're trying to find out, do you have a tether and do you know who your customer is and why they're taking action? When I started in business, there was no internet. I can't even believe I'm saying that. But I had to find the customer. I was always 7 and 8 steps away from the money. Today, you're 1 step away from the money. I had to make a garment and hopefully get it shipped over here, the samples, then hopefully get a buyer to let me in the door so I can show it to him. There was no Zoom. And the only way to get it to him, to show it to him other than in person, was licking a letter and sending it to him. Then if they bought it, how many stores did they buy it for? And then when they went to the distribution center, like a Macy's, well, now all of a sudden we got to get it over to Macy's. It sits in the back. Is the kid who's working in Macy's who's looking for, their college, or their girlfriend or boyfriend, did they pull it out on the rack? Did they put it on the rack? And did Ralph Lauren, because they pay for, all the people in Ralph Lauren's department, because I didn't have enough money to pay for the people to hang goods, did they go and take it and put it aside somewhere, and as they reestablish where Ralph Lauren or Nautica is? When a mother bought it, did she buy it for herself? Was it a gift? Why did she not buy it? I was 7, 8 steps away from the money. Today, you're 1 step away from the money. And that's what we look for in Shark Tank. How are you going to scale? How are you going to have global domination? And where can we make a profit? And then where do I fit in it? Well, if you're looking for a shit ton of money, I'm not going to give you a shit ton of money. I'm going to give you what you asked for. Cuban, he has to have losses. He'll underwrite everything. He's a bank at the same time. Me, on the flip side, can I license it to another company who will take all the manufacturing problems off of you so you can do what you do best? Can I reduce the cost of the goods, and you're making it for $10, but due to my relationships, I can make it for $5? Can I get a pit bull or an influencer over here or somebody over here to utilize it to take that marketing problem out of the way? Can I put it in a portfolio of somebody else who's already distributing to that store or location, and get them to put that in their portfolio to then help and get these things, get all of the hurdles out of the way? I look at where can I add value to it. So.
And how do you evaluate the entrepreneur versus the product or the business?
The entrepreneur is by far the most important. I don't need to talk to anybody to make money. If I want to invest in a bunch of really smart people, I do not need to talk to anybody, right? Hopefully you guys will go public. Then I won't have to talk to you. I send my money over to the market. They don't dust off Steve Jobs and he asks me how to fix a computer. They don't. Elon Musk ain't gonna call me, or Harley from Shopify is not gonna tell me Shopify just popped. They're not gonna call me with any problems. I don't have to fix cars. I don't have to fix rockets. I make money or I lose money. Simple as that. So if I'm going to be in a business or employ somebody, I'm going to have to sit next to you or across from you on Zoom 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for potentially the next 5 years of my life. I got to like you, or you got to like me. Every single one of my businesses and personal relationships that have not worked out has not worked out because of the lack of communication and the lack of drawing the line in the sand and saying what I want out of it, what you want out of it, and to understand. Maybe I was the asshole. It's okay.
Amazing way to think about hiring too. All right, I want to open this up. Who in the room? All right, first hand right here. Let me run down the mic. Sir, have you been on Jeopardy before? That was real quick. Or no?
Hey, but you know what? When you want a chance in life, you got to take it. I want to ask you a question, Mr. John, about you talked about influence and marketing. I watched an old interview where they talked about LL Cool J doing the Gap commercial, and he slid in FUBU at that time that you guys were rising. Did that help the influence in the marketing of FUBU, and did that help bring you new people to recognize your brand?
I don't think I would be here if he didn't do that. I think that's a bigger topic. That's why you have to have the people in your system that look and think like the people you serve. You see, what happened was, remember, again, some of you are a little young. There was no internet. The Gap did a commercial. They wanted to try to get in. And like every single one of you, there will be somebody, and there will be many people that will try to get into your industry. Last year, they were interior decorator. Today, they're doing this. Now, tomorrow, they're going to do your company. You've been doing this shit for 10 years, 5 years, and you've been so dedicated, and they just pop up and they try to turn on a switch. It happens to us all the time. But the Gap wanted to get into the hip-hop community, and they called him up, and he felt offended the way the conversation went. Something like, I do it on stage often, but something like, yeah, hey, Biggie, Pac Smalls, you all look the same. Now, we want to get, this is really like how it went. Like, we want to get to these hippity hoppers. I'm white, my daughter is 16 years old and white, and she's running around the house talking about fight the power and F the police. So I think rap's for everybody, but because we don't know what to say to these little hippity hoppers, can you come in and write the commercial and perform it? This is 97, no internet. He goes, yeah, I got a custom-made hat. I got a funny-shaped head. Remember at that time, if you remember LL, he never took his hat off. They said, yeah, whatever, come on in, Diddy. We know you never, oh, did I say Diddy? Too soon? Too soon? They said, you know, that's why I'm ashy. I went to look for some baby oil today, and I couldn't. I think that wasn't fiscally responsible, Jonathan, for him to buy 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Why didn't he buy just a drum? Why didn't he buy that?
I don't know the economics.
Where were we? Now, he goes in and he performs a commercial in live. It's a cappella. FUBU, for us, by us, on the low. He said that they spent $30 million airing it. They didn't find out till 6 weeks later what he said. There was no hashtag fail. There was no nothing. Nobody, and the younger African Americans or non-African American, doesn't matter, whoever was loving hip hop in the company, they were laughing at him. The CEO and the CMO, they didn't want to talk to anybody, like the people in the mailroom, those people beneath them. They spent $30 million airing a FUBU commercial. Now, here's first of all, everybody that worked on that campaign from the Gap and the advertising agency got fired. But here's the funny part. They hired a multicultural agency after that. They said, clean this shit up, this is embarrassing. You know what the multicultural agency said? And that's why I love we're here at Trainual and talking about data and information. They said, hold on. You're not looking at something else in your data, because I'm from the hood. Let me tell you what's going on. I'm hearing some rumbling. They looked and they turned, instead of saying get rid of it, you know what they found out? The target market they were trying to hit increased 300% because the kids, we were too small. We were only doing 5 million. The kids thought they can get FUBU at the Gap. So they called me up, we gave each other a big old sloppy wet kiss, no tongue, and they ended up spending another $60 million re-airing that ad.
All right, who's got a hand faster than air? Oh, right here, right here.
For companies that are about like the 10 million ARR mark, what are some kind of common issues you see as far as like scalability and really taking it to like that next level?
About 10 million, your systems start having to be rebooted, I think, because you then start to think about what kind of company is it?
SaaS platform.
SaaS platform. I wouldn't really know. Well, you know, the two hardest things to source in a company is always going to be talent and money. And I would assume that off of a SaaS platform, you're at that point where you've already proven, and now you're going to start going into the world of the big boys and the big girls, and you're going to need to then start hiring way more expensive talent. And that's probably going to be the biggest part of scalability. Now, how do you get that talent to believe in you? Because you have limited funds. You can't eat what is already striving, you know, pushing you out there. And the banks are not necessarily open to the business yet because your business is not doing enough just yet. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be talent, and it's going to be the structure of the business to show that, I mean, a lot of times even people at $10 million don't even have business credit yet. Because a lot of people don't realize that the companies are not supposed to run off your credit cards, your personal credit cards. You're supposed to have business credit. And again, When you open a business, you don't know all this. You're trying to solve one problem. Now all of a sudden you got to know digital marketing, then you got to know, credit, then you got to know warehousing. Those are probably the two biggest issues at that point. Getting real talent to believe in you, because some of your talent and your leadership can only go this far now because they've never been there before. And they were hardworking people who busted their ass and they learned everything. But now you're going to start, at that size company, 10, you probably have about 30 employees, right? So you're going to start heading to that point, and then the next plateau is going to be right around 30 million, and the following will be 50, and then it'll be 100. So I'm not sure if I gave you the right answer, but I hit it on the head. Okay, good. All right, we got right here.
For someone who's never worked with influencers and stuff, is there like kind of a do and don't about that?
What?
Working with influencers, do's and don'ts.
Yeah, that's a big question. Absolutely. So, first of all, I think, again, go to it like you're broke. Don't just spend the money. A lot of people in here are really data-driven. That's really excellent. Find the ones. I always found that in any business, I never went towards who was big, and like I did the Kim Kardashian. I always went toward, I didn't go to number 1, 2, and 3, and 4. When I got my distribution deal and manufacturing deal, I didn't get it from Ralph Lauren, I didn't get it from Reebok, I didn't get it from Jordan, I got it from Samsung's textile division. I kept kissing frogs, because I find that you go to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10, they're all great. You want to go to number 100 who wants to be number 1, so you look at the assets that they have. I went over to them and I remember saying, hey, they did these big bubble coats. That was all they were financing at the time. So they were doing them. The wall that just came down in Russia, they was able to do some distribution over there. They were doing like $30 million in business. I looked at myself, I said, you know what? They know all the buyers. They have factories in manufacturing. They're not using them 90% of the time because they're only making bubble coats in the summer that they would have for the winter. I said, can I put my jeans on your product line? And they said, sure. The jeans became $300 million, and they, and the other companies. So I use what I call the remnant time. So when you go to influencers and anybody, learn to use what we call remnant time. Use what they have. So if they have a factory, well, they're only using the factory a little bit, use this. If they're an influencer, if they're doing this already, but your company fits in, like, I'll give you an example. If you talk to any of the chefs these days, the big chefs, they're not trying to sell pots and pans anymore. They're trying to sell chef coats, they're trying to sell shoes, they're trying to sell watches because their hands like that, because the pots and pan market is already done for them. If you go look at a shelf, 1 million of them are telling you what to buy pots and pans, but how many of them are showing you watches every single day that they're cooking? You use that remnant time, that inventory. I always like to say, go look at the book. There's a book called, a simple little book, it's called The Art of Barter. Learn how to, when you talk to influencers, learn how to barter something that they're not necessarily using. People don't barter these days like they should. There's only 2 different levels of bartering these days. It's basically the preppers who, a leg of lamb for a rusty knife. Or the government, I'm going to give you 1 million barrels of oil for 100 tanks. But Richard Branson started Virgin Airlines with bartering. Mickey Arison started Carnival Cruise Lines with bartering and trading. Money is not going to get you anywhere, but if you're really good and you have a service or product or something else like that, there's somebody else who needs that shit who has something of way more value.
We got right back here.
Hi there, thanks. This is kind of an add-on to that question. What about turning your best customers into influencers?
I mean, that's spot on. They are. People will be surprised. Throw the people with the customer complaints into your biggest influencers. 92%, MIT did a study that 92% of the top profitable products in large corporate and Fortune 500 companies came out of customer complaints. Because, a customer doesn't have to complain to you, they can go to anybody. But when a customer complains to you, you address it, they go hard for you after that. I called Jonathan over at Trainual. I told him what the hell was going on. And Jonathan changed that shit. It's a theory that we all having this problem, hitting that damn 57 on this ketchup or putting water in it. It would never come out the bottle. So they sent salespeople around to a lot of people and did a survey. They went into their house, say, hey, I'll give you $100, kind of look in your refrigerator. All the bottles were upside down in the refrigerator. Hence, now they got a big cap and they're all upside down. It's customer complaints. So you can turn everybody, and especially, you know who else? Window shoppers. I tell the story all the time that I was in a store one day and I was buying something, and I was servicing the store too. I had sold them some stuff, but I was buying other stuff. This woman comes in, she's looking at these shoes, and this guy, the owner of the store, the woman was right there, and he was just like talking to me, and then she kept asking for different shoes, and he was like, and he just really like shitted on her. I said, why'd you treat that woman like that? She comes in here every day. You know, like, I'm going to buy something in here. I happen to have resources. I'm not going to go out and tell everybody what I have. Look at me, look at me. That woman is going to her cubicle every single day going, you know, when I get some money, I'm going down the block to so forth and so on, and I'm going to buy this and this and that. My mother, when I was growing up, always talking to me about a Jaguar car. A true man gets a Jaguar. I bought a Jaguar. That was the biggest piece of shit I ever had in my life when I made some money.
I think we got time for one more. I saw your hand up right over here. Rachel?
Could you highlight the difference in marketing strategies you would take for services over products? And for reference, my company primarily does parking lot striping.
Parking lot
Not
what?
very sexy. Parking lot striping, the painting of the stripes.
That's sexy as shit. I love that.
Good answer.
Big stripe guy. Daymond looks great in stripes.
Oh, that's a sexy business. What you're asking is the question. There is no difference between a service or a product.
The marketing strategies.
There's no real difference in it. Where are you finding? Where are you thinking? You see, you're getting too technical about it.
I'm sorry, what was?
You're getting too technical about that. What is keeping your customer up at night?
I don't think that they are.
You're in business?
Well, I'm at the corporate level of a franchise, so I'm not the actual.
You're a corporate level of a franchise?
Yes.
Oh, you're in business?
Yes.
What's keeping them up at night? I don't know what's keeping them up at night. I'm just hearing this. Are they keeping it up at night that there's a whole lot of people coming in with these cars and they want the lot to look great? Is it that they're parking in odd ways and what happens? They can't maximize the space? Is it when they're pulling in there, they're scratching other people because they can't maximize the space? What's keeping them up at night could be, shit, who do I get to do this? And I don't even know that there's a parking lot company that does this, or it could be, can I be on a subscription model where I know you're going to come every 3 months or 4 months? Are you showing me the newest technology, which is more reflection in the parking systems and stuff like that? I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's making them aware that there's some new technology, and if they don't do it, well, somebody else is doing it. Are you in it? Giving them FOMO. And then showing them also how it increases something. I mean, if I think about that, cars are parked unorganized in a sense, well, am I losing 2 spaces a day? And what is those 2 spaces a day equating to over the course of a period of time? Or is it those damn kids keep scratching the car? And how many times am I dealing with insurance companies or people bothering me where I can't do what I do the best? It's all the same kind of solution on how you bring this to somebody else.
Find the headache. All right. I think that just about wraps it up for us. Daymond, I want to go back to 97, right? It was when the Gap commercial aired, 97?
Yes.
All right, so in 98.
Well, maybe 98, something like that.
Yeah, in 98, you didn't know it at the time. You were scaling this empire, FUBU. Chris and I were in elementary school, middle school, in Franklin, Massachusetts.
God bless you.
Right? We had, in our basement, there was an unfinished back part of the basement that had this little Fisher-Price basketball hoop, and on the wall, there was logos that Chris had drawn, that we were painting, that we were spray painting, and the FUBU logo was on the wall of our house in Franklin, Mass, in our basement, on the concrete wall next to our Fisher-Price logo, next to the hoop, across from the Michael Jordan, Air Jordan logo.
That is cool as shit.
All of that, man.
Really?
So, that's such a cool story in terms of I look out to this room And I look at every single face here, and it's so meaningful to see the people that our business, that our brand is impacting, but it's even more mind-blowing to think about the businesses, the people that are resonating with our brand that you don't ever hear about, that you don't ever see, right? That's when you kind of get that tipping point of brand reaching global resonance or anything, right? And so I just wanted you to know that was
That's a great story,
this
man.
has been a
Thank
long
you.
time
It's an
coming,
honor, man. Yeah, we've been doing it for 4 years. Thank you. It is an honor. Thank you.
All right. Bring Marcus back up here.
All right, you guys got a lot of value. Keep it going for Daymond John, everybody. And Johnny Razio. Wow.